Hi Fightmaster Yogis, welcome to your refuge, your sanctuary. This is you time. It's time that you set aside to take care of yourself. Today I am joined by the lovely Chandra, who is, believe it or not, pregnant. So we're going to do a little prenatal video, and we've had such a tough week, haven't we? We are in Kofonisi Island off in Greece, and all week long we've been enjoying the sun and the sea and the yoga. So this is a great prenatal video for those of you who are pregnant, or if you want just something that's a little bit gentle. So we're going to start just sitting up nice and tall, and close your eyes and become aware of your breath moving in and out. So in our yoga practice, our regular yoga practice, we practice Ujjayi pranayama, the little constriction in the back of the throat, keeping the breath in and out through the nose. Prenatal, we can do that as well. However, because the body temperature is warmer when we're pregnant, sometimes it's best to breathe through the mouth. So if at any time you're feeling warm as you're breathing out in and out through the nose, then just change the breath to the mouth, and that will cool you down a little bit. So just take a couple long, smooth breaths. And then let's take our hands together in front of the heart. And may our practice be nourishing for us, our mamas and our babies, helping us to become flexible and strong so that we can have very smooth pregnancy and very smooth birthing process. Add an intention of your own if you like. Then release your hands and let your eyes softly blink open. I'm going to have you come onto your hands and knees. Just occurred to me, do you need extra padding for your knees?
I think I'm okay.
Okay? Okay. So if you need extra padding for your knees, you'll grab a blanket or maybe an extra yoga mat. But line up with your knees under your shoulders, or sorry, your knees under your hips and your wrists under your shoulders. That would be funny, huh? Knees under shoulders. In a table position. So in table, the tendency when you're pregnant especially is to arch your back. So see there, it really wants to do that. So Chandra's already pretty aware of this, so she's pulling up as if like I'm standing above her and just giving her a gentle hug. So she wants to keep the spine nice and long. So as you inhale, just warm up the spine a little bit. Bring the chest forward, lift the chin, lift the tailbone up. Draw the shoulder blades toward the waist. As you exhale, round your back, chin toward chest. Good, and again, inhale to come forward, widen across the collarbones, and exhale, round the back. Well, let's do one more. So inhaling forward, and exhale to round the back. Good. And then come back to neutral. So we want to keep the torso nice and stable during pregnancy. And another thing to keep in mind is that when you are pregnant, you have a hormone that's released in your body. It's called relaxin. Relaxin will soften up the connective tissue and the muscles in your body to prepare you for labor and birth, which means that you'll be more flexible during your pregnancy than you are when you're not pregnant. So one thing to keep in mind is you really want to keep stability in your body when you're pregnant. So on your next inhale, extend your right leg back. Good. And lift it from the inner thigh. Drop the outer hip down. Keep the ribs and belly drawing in. And then extend the left arm forward, and just pause here for 3 breaths. So she's going to work on keeping the ribs in, dropping the outer right hip and squeezing the left hip. 2, keep breathing, and 1, release. Very nice. Take a breath here, and now we'll do the other side. So inhale the left leg back. Again, lifting from the inner thigh, the outer hip drops down. Right hip will pin in, extend right arm forward when you're ready. And notice she does a great job of making sure she doesn't overarch in the lower back. So she keeps the ribs drawing in and the belly lifted gently for 3. And she's breathing 2. And 1, setting it down. Good. Now take your knees wide apart and take your hips back to your heels into child's pose. And tell us the truth. Is this comfortable?
This isn't bad, but child's pose is not my favorite.
So child's pose is not her favorite pose anyway. When you're pregnant and your belly starts to expand, it might also become uncomfortable for you to rest in child's pose. So if that's the case, show us how you usually rest if you get tired. Nice. So this is how Chandra will rest if everyone else is in child's pose and she wants to take a break. This is malasana, and I love this because it's extending through her lower back, giving her lots of space in the lower back, which is really good because it's compressing a lot with the weight of the baby. Notice how her knees are lined up with her middle toes. She does a great job of that as well. Some of you might be able to do this with your feet parallel, but the important thing is knees and middle toes line up. Very nice. Bring your hands back to the mat, onto the knees, and then walk your hands in front of your shoulders. Tuck your toes and make your way into downward facing dog. All right, so the arms are shoulders distance, the feet are hips width. If you want to bicycle your legs for this one, please do. Now notice she is very comfortable in her down dog. I know this because we've talked about it. If you're in your third trimester, and you're not quite in your third trimester, are you?
Just the end of the second.
So she's at the end of her second trimester. This is when we're pregnant, we usually feel the best. So when you make it to your third trimester, especially toward the end, downward dog might not feel so good. So instead, you can take your knees down and practice table. Table instead of down dog is fantastic. So we're going to move through a couple of sun salutations. We're going to do some modified ones so that as you become bigger in your belly, you'll be able to work around that and practice. So this way, this is its own practice in and of itself, but then also you can modify the sun salutations and things if you want to do other videos on the Fightmaster Yoga channel. So from here, let's come into downward facing dog again. And if you're not taking downward facing dog, you're staying on the hands and knees. And then from here, let's just walk the hands back to the feet. Good. And then you can bend the knees as needed. Yeah. And let your head hang. Good. Notice too, Chandra has her feet hips width apart. You want to always keep your feet hips width apart as you're folding forward so that you have space for the belly. Now take your hands to your hips and with a long spine, come all the way up. Good. So coming into Tadasana, she's going to keep her feet hips width apart always when she's standing, or if she's sitting and folding forward, that will keep space for the belly. And then finding even standing in the feet in Tadasana, pressing into the base of the big toes, little toes, inner outer heels. Now, because of the low back, it wants to overarch. She's going to work on lengthening through the lower back a little, lifting the hip bones gently, not overdoing it, but just being aware that she doesn't dump into the low back, and she does a good job not doing that. And then lift the chest. Good. Shoulder heads back and down. As you are having your baby, once baby comes out, and you're holding and you're feeding, you'll find yourself rounding a lot. So this is really good to get into the habit of now. So let's inhale, sweep the arms up, palms face each other, good. And then exhale, hinge from your hips and fold all the way forward into uttanasana. Good, long neck. Inhale, bring hands to shins, come halfway up, lengthen. As you exhale, bend your knees, plant your palms, and walk yourself out into plank pose. Now, some of you will be taking the knees down. She could take the knees down too, of course. This is where you'll decide if your belly is bigger and you feel any stretching as you come into back bends, then you're going to do just a little cow pose. So you'll just drop the belly, lift the chin. So instead of that, even stay in table. It's like you're doing, yes, and that'll be your back bend. And then as you exhale, you can make your way back into downward facing dog. So that's one variation. Good. And then again, at any time, if down dog becomes too much, you'll take the knees down. Perfect. Good. Nice. And then let's make our way back to standing. So if you're on your knees, you'll just tuck your toes under and you'll just walk your hands back and come. Yep. Hands to shins, lengthen, inhale. Good. Exhale and fold. And then inhale, press down through the feet and rise up for Utthita Hastasana. Good. And then exhale to Samastitihi. Good. And then we'll do another one, another variation. Inhale, sweep the arms up. Exhale, fold forward, hinging from your hips. Inhale, lengthen the spine, look up. As you exhale again, walk yourself into plank pose. This time she's going to keep the knees off the floor just because I know she can. So those of you practicing at home, knees can be up or down. Now from here, I'm going to have you come into upward facing dog because again, I know she can do this. So she's going to start to drop the hips. And come right into up dog. She's on the tops of the feet. Shoulders are above the wrists. And do you feel any pulling in your belly? No. So she's good. Tuck your toes, come back to down dog. Nice. And she came to the knees first, which is wonderful. So as your belly is expanding, you might find that upward facing dog is too strong of a posture. And as your belly's expanding, you can't really come down onto your belly and come into cobra because you don't want to squish the belly. So that's a good option. Now, lunges. I know how much everybody loves them. So from here, lift your right leg up. As you exhale, you're going to bring it forward. Walk your right hand over to the left a little bit and take the foot on the outside. Yes. And then inhale. Lengthen through the spine. Good. Pull the right hip back, exhale. And this is how you can lunge where you have room for your belly. Because if she had hands on either side of the right foot, her belly would get squished. Okay. Now, if you want to take a twist here, let's put this right hand on the block. You can inhale, lift the left arm up. So with the left arm lifted up, she has lots of space for the belly. If you're doing twists in a regular class, you'll twist in the opposite direction, always making sure you have space. Exhale, bring the hand back down. Good, and then let's come back into downward facing dog. Good. Now she has a lot of strength, so she can move back and forth into down dog. If it was too much, she could always pause at the knees first and then make her way back. So from downward facing dog, we'll take the other leg up. So inhale the left leg. And notice how her hips are nice and level. That's good. It's better for the low back instead of letting the hip open up. As you exhale, you'll step it up by the left hand. Bring the hand in a little bit so it can come on the outside of the hand so you have room for the belly. And then with a nice long spine, so we're going to practice this really nice long spine. We don't want to round the back so much. We can keep the chest forward, and then we'll take the left hand on the brick, and you can take that block up as high as you like, or if you don't need one, don't use it. Inhale, yawn the right arm up. So it's a nice way to twist that keeps lots and lots of space in the belly. Take 2 more breaths here. We're giving the spine some movement, and it's very good to keep the energy moving and keep the blood flowing. Exhale, let's bring the hand back down and come back into downward facing dog, please. Good. Now, perhaps downward facing dog isn't really working so well for you and you still want to take a lunge. So let's come back to the knees. And just as easily, she can take this right hand and bring it toward the left hand a little bit. Inhale, step the right foot up by the right hand. Good. And then she can do the same thing. Right hand on the block or hand on the floor. Just make sure right knee's over ankle. Inhale, left arm up. And as you're twisting, do the best you can to pull the right hip back. Yeah. So the twist is from above the waist. And her shoulder blades move into the chest. She can widen across the collarbones, which is really good right now. And release it. Good. And then make your way back to table. Good. And then bring your left hand in toward the center a little bit. Step your left foot forward by the left hand. Make sure the knee's over the ankle. Let's put the brick under the left hand. And inhale, bring the right arm up. And as you bring the right arm up, do your best to keep your hips level. Good. And reaching it up. Getting a nice opening in the chest. Keep breathing here. One more breath. Make sure there's no tension around the neck or the shoulders. Good. And release it. Come back to center. And back to table. Good. And then rest. So either in a child's pose, or if you like malasana better, you can take that. But whatever you're doing, so child's pose is really great because it gives lots of length through the spine. And then that squat malasana is the same way, lots of length through the spine as you rest. Because we do compress the lower back anyway, even when we're not pregnant, but when we are, there's that extra weight that we're carrying that compresses the spine. So anything we can do to create this length is wonderful. Let's have you come back up onto your hands and knees. Good. And then let's have you tuck the toes and walk your hands back toward the feet, and we'll come into half forward fold. So Ardha Uttanasana, hands to shins, and make a nice long spine. Good. And then as you exhale, fold forward. And then press down through your feet and inhale, reach all the way up for Urdhva Hastasana. And exhale the hands to the hearts. Okay, we're gonna do a little balance. Now, because the center of gravity is off when we're pregnant, it's a really good idea to balance next to a wall. We're not close to a wall, but Chandra can balance on me, so it's all good. I'm gonna grab this. Now this one, it was one of the ones that was really good when I was pregnant because I had sciatica. Yeah, and so this is great for if you have sciatica. So I'm gonna have you hold the strap, and just bend your right knee and put it on the ball of your right foot. Good. And normally, if you're at home, you can rest on a wall. So today, you'll rest with me. And then as you're ready, extend the leg out. You might walk your hand up the strap a little bit. Good. Oopsies. Easier said than done, right? Always. So as she lifts the leg up, she's dropping the hip down. The left hip draws in towards center. As I said, this one is good for sciatica. So as you inhale, you'll stay. As you exhale, start to open out to the right. Good. Keep that left hip drawing in. 2 breaths here. Keep the belly lifted just a little for stability. And then inhale, bring the leg through center. And slowly release it as you exhale. Good. So if you do have some sciatica, you have that pain down the back of your leg, this one is good. You can hold it a little bit longer, do it a few more times, and it helps. We'll bend the left knee and take the strap to the ball of the left foot. I gotta go over here. As you're ready, extend the leg out and up. So start with a bent knee, and then you can extend it out. Drop the left hip down and pin the right hip in. That's good. Take an inhale here, exhale, open to the left. As you open to the left, continue to pin your right hip in towards center. That's good. One more breath here. And then inhale, come back through center. And bend the knee, exhale, and release it. Gorgeous. Let's take the strap off to the side again. And then we're gonna make our way back down onto the knees. So first back to Tadasana. Let's inhale and reach the arms up. Good. And exhale, fold forward, hinging from the hips. And inhale, look up to lengthen. As you exhale, bend your knees and plant your palms and walk yourself out to plank pose. Good. And then you can hold plank a little longer if you like, or take the knees down. Let's take the knees down here. So you're holding plank, or you're here in table with the knees down. And then we're gonna walk our hands back, and we're gonna sit right up onto the knees. So yeah, just sit right up. Now, if you need more padding for your knees, I would recommend to fold your mat over and let you sit up so that your knees are on the extra fold. Good. And then come all the way up and bring your hands to your low back. We're gonna practice a little back bend Ustrasana, camel pose. So a lot of times as you are getting bigger in your pregnancy, bridge pose doesn't feel that comfortable because you don't want to lie flat on your back because there's a lot of pressure. Wheel pose is just too intense. So this is a nice one. So with the hands at the low back, press your hips down toward the backs of your knees and then widen across your collarbones. Yes, inhale here. As you exhale, you can keep your hands right at your low back. Lift your hip bones towards your low ribs and just lean back a little bit. Just until you feel a nice stretch. Breathe into the chest. Good. Take one more breath. Now to come up, squeeze the legs together so both shoulders come up at the same time. How is that on your back? It's okay? I'm gonna do one more. This time we'll have you hold the block between the legs. Holding the block between the legs will give you a little internal rotation, which widens your lower back and gives you more space. Now you can do the same thing, hands on low back, or if you want to take it deeper, you can always take it deeper. Yeah, you can tuck the toes under, reach for the heels, or toes not tucked under, yeah. And if you've got the legs, if you've got the feet, then you'll press a little bit forward again. Yeah, stretching out the whole front of the body. She's lifting through the shoulder blades, lifting the chest, tailbone lengthens down towards the backs of the knees. To come up, squeeze the block, come up both shoulders at the same time, very nice. And let's release this. And we'll come into, let's have you scoot back a little for a child's pose. Good. Now she'll go the other way after her back bend, just to again stretch out the spine. We always want to create length. And now from here, I'll have you walk up Chandra, and then just take your hips over to the right and extend your legs forward. It's okay? All right, and then take the soles of your feet together and your knees apart. Good. So she has a nice long spine here. If she were rounded in her back, I'd have her sit up on the edge of a block or a blanket. But because she has nice length, and most of the time when you're carrying a baby, like I said, that low back overarches. So most people don't need to sit on a block, but every once in a while you might have a little bit of rounding in the back where you'll need it. So let's inhale and sit up nice and tall. And then hinging from the hips, exhale, come forward. Yeah, and she's gonna come forward, keeping all that length in the spine. So she's hinging forward from the hips. She doesn't really have much rounding in the back, which is great. And take a few breaths here. And how's the stretch? Do you feel a stretch?
Yeah.
Good. So you want to move into the place where you feel a little stretch, but you don't want to keep going past your edge, because like I mentioned, with the relaxant in the body, you can go further than you want to go. And then as you inhale, walk yourself back up. And just take your hands to the outsides of the knees, bring the knees together. I'm going to have you roll down onto your left side for a little rest. Then I'll put one block here for the head and one block here between the legs. Now, the block on the head, optional of course, because if it's not comfortable, then you don't have to keep it there. You can use your arm as a pillow. Is that okay? It's good? Okay. The block between the knees I think is really, really good because you need a little bit of little stability there. So when you're pregnant, lying on your left side is best for baby. It gives the most flow of the blood and the nutrients and the oxygen. Not to say if you lie on your right side it's not okay, but there's just a little bit more flow for baby on the left. So we're gonna just rest here for a minute or two in Shavasana. So lying on the left side, and just close your eyes and bring your attention back to your breath. So your inhales and exhales are equal, but just come to natural breathing. And then right where you are, take a longer breath in. And as you exhale, just start to make some movements in your fingers and your toes. And then pressing your top arm into the floor, take a breath in, exhale, start to lift yourself up, let your head come up last. And we'll come into a comfortable seat. Sitting up nice and tall. And I have a quote from Pema Chodron, because it's the one I remember at the moment. She said, "You are the sky. Everything else, it's just the weather." So bringing the hands together, let's take our hands to the foreheads, reminding us to have clear and loving thoughts. Hands to heart, reminding us to have clear and loving intentions. And the hands to the mouth to remind us to have clear and loving communication, sending out this positive energy to all beings everywhere. Namaste. Thank you so much, Fightmaster Yogi mamas and others, for joining us today. Thank you so much. Don't forget to push the like button and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Bye. Tell everyone bye. Wave.